Hello, my name is Philip Olaomi and I welcome you to Let's Talk About Worship. Today I want to talk about a very important part of the ministry of a worshiper. I title it The Struggles of a Worshiper. The Struggles of a Worshiper. The struggles that worshippers, the experience that we go through. And I want to mention very quickly in the book of Luke chapter 4. This was the encounter between Jesus and Satan when he was being tempted. The Bible said that then the devil, taking him up on a high mountain, showed him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time. And the devil said to him, all this authority I will give you, and their glory, for this has been delivered to me, and I will give it to whomever I wish. Therefore, if you will worship before me, all will be yours. You see, every worshiper needs to know, we must know that there are temptations out there that are posing as opportunities, and they flash before you the kingdoms of this world in a moment of time, just as it happened to Jesus. But you see, some of these temptations will promise you authorities along with their glories, and the only condition is just to worship. In that passage, we saw that the devil demanded that Jesus would worship him because he knew what worship from Jesus would do. And you know, the devil will not tempt you if you don't have something valuable. The reason he's attacking you, throwing challenges your way, is because he knows that there is something valuable in you. Your ability to connect to God is a great asset. And the devil will move the world to bring you down just to ensure that one less genuine worshiper, to make sure that there is one less genuine worshiper out there. So, and you know, someone will say, well, is it not just to bow? Is it not just to utter some words? But we need to understand that worship is a powerful tool that relinquishes or delivers a right and ownership to whatever is being worshipped. And you bowing down may not really mean, bowing down physically, but your bowing down may be in form of yielding or, giving your consent. I want you to please know, as worshippers, that when you bow, your spirit bows, your destiny bows, your life bows. You surrender your all, your right, the ownership of your life and destiny to whomever you worship. And you know something, that as powerful as God is, as strong as the authority that he gave to Gabriel to deliver a message to Mary, if Mary had said no, God would have looked for someone else who would say yes. And you see, this is a very good point to mention, that you see, most of the promises of God, most of what the assignments that God gives, they're not looking for a particular person like that. The God is looking for someone that will say yes. Jesus said, I stand at the door and knock. It is anyone that opens. So your availability is very much important. So that is that. And going back to that passage in the book of Luke, this was why Jesus he responded to Satan in the book of Luke chapter 4 verse 8. He said that we are only permitted to bow and worship God and God alone. Jesus said, and Jesus answered and said to him, get thee behind me, Satan. You shall worship your God. You shall worship the Lord your God, and him alone you shall serve. See, Paul puts it this way. Paul said in the book of Romans chapter 6 verse 16, he said that, do you know that you are servants to whom you yield the members of your body to? The members of your body to. You are servants to who you surrender yourself to. So this issue of struggles that worshippers goes through, it's very very real, and we do understand that so many of these things are out there. So very quickly, I want to talk about some of the temptations that worshippers that they go through, and the first one that I want to mention today is the issue of the temptation of money. The temptation of money. As a worshiper, you need to understand that there's a very thin line between ministry and job. especially when money is involved. So the money factor is the money factor is good, especially if you're doing it professionally. But you will need to ask yourself. You need to resolve within yourself. Just like what Jesus did to Peter, and he asked Peter 3 times. Says, Simon, son of Jonah, are you doing this because you love me or because of the fish? Are you doing this because you really love me or because of what you're going to be getting from it? In the book of John chapter 6 verse 26, after Jesus fed the 5,000 and the people ate and they had leftovers, the people were looking for Jesus, and Jesus said that these people are not looking for me because they love me or they believe in me. They are only looking for me because they ate yesterday. They ate fish. So they were going after Jesus because of what they could get. And I want to please appeal to you as a worshiper or whoever we may be, that no matter how hard we try to hide our emotions, that they will forever be plain before the God who sees in the dark as if it is day. Nothing is hidden from him. As a worshiper, when somebody will ask me to mention my price, maybe to minister at their church, I ask myself, at what expense? Do I prepare more because of what is being offered to me, or I'm simply going there to lead people in worship? Or am I giving my best, to deliver the value of what I'm being offered instead of really coming to minister? In the book of Hebrews chapter 12 verse 16 to 17, the Bible said, lest there be any fornicator or profane person like Esau, who for a morsel of food sold his birthright. For you know that afterward, when he wanted to inherit the blessing, a time will come that there will be the time that encounter that you need will come. But Esau, according to this passage, he had already mortgaged his destiny. Said, for who for a morsel of food sold his birthright. For you know that afterward, when he wanted to inherit the blessing, he was rejected, for he found no place for repentance, though he sought it diligently with tears. He sought it diligently with tears. So don't put, to the back, what you should have done, and what you should have done earlier. No. As worshippers, there are certain things that we need to look out for, and that is under the issue of monetary rewards that we're talking about. The first thing is desperation. Don't allow desperation to push you into cutting a deal with the devil. When you cut a deal with the devil, know for a fact that you will be paying more in return. What you'll be paying in return is going to be greater than what you are being offered. And with the devil, there are no reverse bargains. It's one way in, and it will cost you everything. Judas was an example. After he betrayed Jesus, he made effort to retrace his steps. He made effort to cut the deal, to cancel the deal, but it was not possible. Money is a legal tender, so once a price is agreed, a contract is in effect, and at this point, you will need the grace of God not to treat that ministration as a job. And even if I understand, that we have some standardized cost to, paying your team, getting equipment and different things. But if there's a standardized cost to what you do, I believe there is need to state it clearly, that the fees that you're putting forward will cater for your running expenses. And but because as a worshiper, no one can really pay for the grace of God upon your life. No one can do that. And the second thing under the issue of monetary reward is enticement. Beware of enticement, people. Beware of enticement. Beware of statements like, I will do this if you do this, especially when it has to do with your ministry as a worshiper. Balak promised to enrich Balaam if it will cost the people of God. So gift giving for the purpose of enticement will blind you, and it will also bind you. So it pushes you to a corner, it edges you to a corner, it influences you to look the other way. You see, when I remember the grace of God on my life, When I remember that it did not originate from me, neither did I create it. I didn't pick it up, from somewhere. I know that it was bestowed to me, by God. And if he will sense a wrong usage of it, he can withdraw it. This humbles me a lot. And if you think that is impossible, Saul and David, that's an example. 2 Samuel chapter 7 verse 15. God said, "But my mercy shall not depart from him as I took it from Saul, when I removed whom I removed from before you." Said, "My mercy shall not depart from him as I took it from Saul, whom I removed from before you." Samson, how about Samson? He was so confident. He was very secure in the fact that his actions was inconsequential and it had nothing to do with God's grace, with the grace of God upon his life. But he learned it the hard way, and he was sorry after his eyes, were gutted out and he was betrayed. The second thing, the second thing I would like to mention in the area of the struggles of a worshiper. Remember, the first one is monetary, is the issue of money, and the second one is the temptation of lust. The temptation of lust. See, as a worshiper, just as your ministry is to lead God's people into the throne room, there are also people who have received demonic ministry to bring you down through lust and seduction. When you see ladies, when you see men, as the case may be, just dancing around you, flocking around you, don't think it's because you're special. Don't think it's because you are beautiful, you are handsome, or there is no one like you. They are attracted to you because of your gift. And messing with them will make God withdraw that grace from you. Have you ever wondered what happened to Delilah? After she surrendered Samson to the Philistines. What happened to the sick love that Samson had for her? She dumped Samson the moment the strength that attracted her to him left. In the book of Proverbs chapter 6, verse 24 to 29, the scripture says, "To keep you from the evil woman." Talking about the law of God. The previous verse was talking about the law of God. It said the law of God, it will keep you from the evil woman, the flattering tongue of a seductress. Do not lust after her beauty in your heart. Do not let her allure you with high lids. For by means of an harlot, a man is reduced to a crust of bread, and an adulteress will prey upon his precious life. Verse 27 says, "Can a man take fire into his bosom and his clothes not be burned? Can one walk on hot coals and his feet not be seared? So is he who goes into his neighbor's wife. Whoever touches her shall not be innocent." Please do not think yourself to be more important than you think. Always remember that you are a vessel, and the moment your life begins to leak that divine deposit through sin, you become unfit for the master's use. That very moment that your life begins to leak the divine deposit through sin, you become unfit for the master's use. Samson said it will go out like before. He did not know that the Spirit of God had left him. So, and that passage in the book of Proverbs that I read earlier, in the book of Proverbs chapter 6, verse 26 in particular, says, "A man that is made in God's image, carrying the power, the presence of God, is reduced to a crust of bread." A crust of bread, not a slice, not a loaf, a crust of bread, only by lusting after a woman. And sometimes I do think about the fact that if an opposite sex knows that you are married, if they know that you're married and they are still making advances at you, they know that it is only a matter of time. If you fall to that trap, it is only a matter of time before you become a victim of the craft that they have mastered. They will leave you for somebody else. So you see, it is a character thing for them. It is a disease, and it is an error that you don't want to be part of. When you do it, you surrender your destiny to the will of your enemies. And you know something? The devil does not have mercy. Mercy does not exist in his dictionary. So please preserve your calling. Please stay true. Proverbs chapter 27 verse 20 says, hell and destructions are never full, so the eyes of a man are never satisfied. You see, this scripture is directly pointing the destination of everyone who keep lusting, who has the issue of lust and will not deal with it. Is already pointing them to their destination. Their destination is hell and destruction. It said hell and destruction are never full, so the eyes of man are never satisfied. So we need to deal with the issue of lust as a worshiper. So in summary, I want to mention that being a worshiper is a lifestyle. It is not a job. And when you get to the point that you will not worship or partake in worship if an amount is not attached to it, then you are placing value on what you cannot place value on. You are placing value on what is invaluable. Worship is a system of ascension to the throne room of God. And it is fine if it comes with monetary rewards, especially if you do it professionally, but money should not be the basis of your worship. And to all my fellow worshippers there who seem to have been abandoned or unloved, or it appears that you're not cared for, you're not appreciated, or maybe you even feel used, I would like you to know this, that God has created a system of love that will never leave you uncared for. John chapter 4 says God is love. That passage did not say that God is like love. It does not look like love. He is love himself. And it is impossible for you to run out of who you are. So you may not be appreciated. It is true that you may not have been appreciated, but the love that you are not getting from either your group or maybe your church or maybe your family, it will come. God knows how he routes his love. God has a way of sending you the love that you need. In Esther chapter 4, in Esther chapter 4, the Jews in captivity, they needed help. And Esther had the capacity to help, but she initially refused. When she refused, hear what Mordecai said. Mordecai said in Esther chapter 4, verse 14, he said, if you remain completely silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise for the Jews from another place. You see, he was so sure. They were in a strange land. He did not know where help was going to come from. The only person that they were looking at turned them down, at least initially. But hear what Mordecai said. He said, relief and deliverance will arise for the Jews from another place. He was so sure that help would come. He said, but you and your father's house will perish. Yet who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this. That was what Mordecai said. So you need to please know that there is a system that God has created, and that system will never leave you uncared for. The lack of help and love from the quarters you expect is not an excuse for you to accept to dine with the devil. In the book of Matthew chapter 25, Jesus said, he will reward those who offered help who offered help and showed love to people who needed it without strings attached. He said, then the king will answer and say to them, Matthew chapter 25 verse 10, assuredly I say to you, inasmuch as you did it to one of the least of these my brethren, you did it to me. So God's system of love does not fail. So I want you to please be encouraged. God's got you covered. God is got you covered, and you need to know that and resolve that within yourself. Know that you will not be ashamed. The God that has called you, he will take care of you. He would not call you if he cannot take care of you. So please let us stay true with our calling. I hope that I've been able to communicate God's mind to you about the struggles of a worshiper. I want to thank you for joining me this week. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Philip Olaume Music, on YouTube and also on Facebook as well, and Philip Olaume on Instagram. You will be notified when we post more videos. Also, please like this video, share this video, and for others to be blessed just as you are. Thank you, and God bless you. See you next week.